Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Malefic deck profile. So I'm really excited for you guys because this deck is a really awesome deck that revolves around using all sorts of different ace monsters throughout the Yu-Gi-Oh series, but in dark Malefic forms, which is a super awesome thing for a deck to be able to do. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like in your name description every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Malefic Paradigm Dragon. This card is an extremely powerful monster in this deck that comes out at 4,000 attack points. It has the ability that cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand by banishing a Malefic monster from your extra deck while Malefic Paradigm Dragon is not on the field. And if a Malefic World is not on the field, destroy this card. And then once per turn, you can send a Malefic card from your deck to the graveyard to return one banished level 8 synchro monster to your extra deck. And then you can special summon that monster from the extra deck. And also you can only attack with Malefic monsters for the rest of the term. That's an extremely powerful effect to be able to use with this card. We then play 3 copies of Malefic Cyber Dragon. This card is a powerful card that can be special summoned to your side of the field by banishing a Cyber Dragon from the extra deck, and it has the ability that the majority of your Malefic monsters actually share, that they can only be one face-up Malefic monster on the field, and other monsters you control cannot declare an attack. If there is no face-up field spell card on the field, destroy this card. Now, you do have a card in the deck that actually counteracts that card, which is our Malefic Territory, which we will get into in a minute. We then play 3 copies of Malefic Stardust Dragon. This card is a great card to play as a 3 of, because this card has the ability that you can banish a Stardust Dragon from your extra deck, and then you get to special summon this card to your side of the field. And there can only be one face-up Malefic monster on the field, and field spell cards cannot be destroyed by card effects, which is a powerful effect for this deck to be able to do, because this deck revolves around Malefic World. We then play a single copy of Malefic Blue Eyes White Dragon. You just play the 1 card of this in the deck because you're going to be usually special summoning this card off the effect of your Malefic Paradox gear, but it's a really good card in this deck to be able to use because it is a level 8 monster and works really well with trade-in as well. We then play a single copy of Malefic Rainbow Dragon. Malefic Rainbow Dragon is a super cool card because of the artwork, and it comes out at 4,000 attack points. You can also use this card with cards like Allure of Darkness, and even with your copies of your Malefic Paradox gear to special summon this card out to your side of the field extremely easily. We then play 3 copies of Malefic Parallel Gear. Malefic Parallel Gear is the tuner of the deck. It has the ability that when using this card as a synchro material, the other synchro material can be a Malefic monster in your hand, which is a powerful effect to be able to use any of these monsters in your hand as a synchro material without summoning them to the field, because you can synchro summon into cards that are level 10 and level 12, which is a super powerful effect to be able to use. We then play 3 copies of Malefic Paradox Gear, which this card is a great 3 of. You got to play 3 copies of Paradox Gear because it has the ability, if there's a face-up field spell on the field, then you can tribute this card to special summon a Malefic Parallel Gear from your deck, and then add a Malefic monster from your deck to your hand, basically giving you both the monsters to go into a synchro play with this 1 card. It also has the ability, if a Malefic monster would banish a monster to special summon itself by its own effect, then you can banish this card from your graveyard instead, or that you control instead. So you can basically summon off these 2 copies of these 2 cards without actually playing their original forms in the deck, which is a super cool thing for this card to be able to do to make up for playing a Blue Eyes White Dragon that you can't summon in this deck, and a Rainbow Dragon that you also cannot summon in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Danger Bigfoot. Danger Bigfoot is a level 8 in this deck that I wanted to tech in because it has the ability to reveal it in your hand. Your opponent randomly chooses a card in your hand, and then you discard the chosen card. If it's not this card that you discarded, you get to draw a card and special summon this level 8 monster to your side of the field, which can help you go into XZ's plays, into all sorts of different plays in this deck, and I really recommend this card. But if you do actually discard this card, it does let you pop a card that your opponent controls that's face up, which also helps out in the deck to be able to go in for game and OTK with all of these super high attack point monsters. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Malefic Divide. Malefic Divide is basically a monster reborn for the deck, because it has the ability that you get to target a Malefic monster in the graveyard, special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions, but its effects are negated, and you banish it during the end phase, which is a pretty powerful effect to get the exact Malefic monster that you want on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Malefic Selector. Malefic Selector has the ability to banish 2 Malefic cards from your graveyard to add 2 Malefic cards from your deck to your hand, except Malefic Selector, and with different names from each other and cards that are banished, which is a pretty powerful effect to get the exact card that you need to your hand. We then play 3 copies of Malefic World, which Malefic World is the most important card in the entire deck, that has the ability that when this card is face up on the field, you can activate this effect that instead of conducting your normal draw phase, you can choose 3 Malefic cards in your deck and have your opponent randomly pick one of them and add it to your hand and shuffle the other 2 back into the deck, which is a really good effect to be able to use with this deck. We then play, in my opinion, the most powerful card in the entire deck, and that is 3 copies of Malefic Territory. This is what the deck needed when they printed this card, because it has the ability that when this card is activated, you can activate a Malefic World from your deck. And when that card is in the field spell zone, neither player can target a card in the field spell zone with effects. And the Malefic monster effects become, there can only be one face-up Malefic monster on the field that becomes, there can only be one face-up Malefic monster on the field with the same name. So this card single-handedly fixes the entire clause of your copies of your Malefic monsters, from where there can only be one Malefic monster on the field, where you can only control one Malefic monster of the same name, which is super helpful for that effect. And then during the battle phase, negate the effects of all face-up Malefic monsters so they can all attack, which is a great thing for this deck. We then play 2 copies of Pot of Acquisitiveness, because you're going to be banishing a lot of cards in this deck. This card has the ability to target 3 of your banished cards, shuffle them back in the deck, and then draw a card. It's a card that I've been teching into the deck. I have considered dropping 1 copy of this card for a copy of Terraforming, but 2 copies has been working out really well for me recently. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. This card lets us draw 2 cards and then banish a dark monster from our hand. We have plenty of dark monsters in this deck that we can banish off this card's effects, and we're digging for that copy of Malefic Territory as quickly as possible. We then play 3 copies of Trade-In. Trade-In lets us discard a level 8 monster to be able to draw 2 cards, everything from Danger Bigfoot to Stardust Dragon Malefic form, and your copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon in its Malefic form can be discarded for this card to be able to draw 2 cards. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing just 2 traps in this deck, and it's going to be a single copy of Skill Drain and a single copy of Malefic Tune. These cards are great cards in the deck because the Skill Drain will negate the effects of all of your Malefic monsters on the field, while also negating the effects of all of your opponent's monsters on the field. So this card is a great one of in this deck. And then Malefic Tune has the ability that if a face-up Malefic monster you control is destroyed by battle or by an opponent's card effect, you get to draw 2 cards. And if a face-up Malefic monsters you control is destroyed while this card's in the graveyard, then you can banish this card from the grave to add a Malefic monster from your deck to your hand, which is a pretty good effect for this deck to have. So that's it for the traps, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Malefic Paradox Dragon. This card is great because it has Paradox in the name, which was the name of the character that actually played this deck. And it has the ability that when this card is Synchro Summon, you can select a Synchro monster in either player's graveyard and special summon it. And there can only be 1 face-up Malefic Paradox Dragon on the field, and if Malefic World is not on the field, then you destroy this card. But it's a 4,000 attack point, level 10 monster, and it's super easy to summon in this deck. We then play a single copy of Geomathmech Final Sigma, because this card is super easy to summon. You put it in your extra monster zone, and it's unaffected by the effects of cards except for Mathmech cards, while it's in the extra monster zone. So this card is a great card to put in the extra monster zone with any of your level 10 Malefic monsters and a parallel gear. We then play a single copy of the Time Lord Volpgate. This card is a good card in the deck, and I thought it would be really cool to actually play this card because this was a villain card from the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's manga, and it has the ability that it cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effect, and you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. And at the end of the damage step, if this card was special summoned from the extra deck battle, you can activate this effect to banish all monsters your opponent controls, and also for the rest of the turn have your opponent or half the battle damage your opponent takes. And then once per turn during the end phase, if this card was activated this turn, special summon as many monsters as possible that you banished with this card's effects to your opponent's field. This card is an extremely powerful card and just a really fun card to play as a one-of in this deck. We then play a single copy of the Corrupted Nether Soul Dragon. This card is a great card to be able to play in the deck because you can summon it very easily to your side of the field and it can't be destroyed by battle. It also has the ability that when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can activate this effect that this card can make a second attack on an opponent's monster in a row. And then during your standby phase, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, and its attack becomes half its current attack, and if it does, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the damage it lost. This card is an insanely powerful card for this deck, and I love playing this card. This card is my go-to synchro summon in this build. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur just to give us an additional negate. You don't have to play this card if you don't want to, if you're going for a little bit more of a budget option. It is here just in case you want to summon it. If you don't want to play this card, you can play another copy of Paradox Dragon or any other level 10 Synchro monster that you want to play, or level 12 Synchro monster that you want to play. We then play 2 copies of Stardust Dragon to banish off the copy of our Malefic Stardust Dragon so we can summon it. 2 copies of Cyber End Dragon so we can summon it out to our side of the field extremely easily with our Malefic Cyber End Dragon's effect to be able to banish this card and summon itself. 1 copy of number 97 to be able to summon out either number 38 to give us spell negates or number 100. Basically, these are here so I can get a 9,000 attack point monster or a spell negate. I play a single copy of Gustav Max to be able to do 2,000 points of burn damage, or a copy of Rail Cannon Juggernaut Libby, which is a great card to be able to summon on top of our Gustav Max to get us a really powerful boss monster on our side of the field. I love these cards in this deck. So anyways, guys, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely hit that bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad. Tell me what you think of this deck down in the comments down below. I've been really love playing with Malefics recently because basically just summons a bunch of monsters to our side of the field that are really high attack points and goes in for game. It's super fun to be able to play around with, and I look forward to seeing what other Malefic monsters come out in the future. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.